Okay, and all right, welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started here with David Martin, and I'm going to go ahead and you can go ahead and share your screen, David.
Yeah, I'm going for it here. All right, do you see what I got here?
Almost. And pop out. All right, you're good to go here.
I've got two projects open at the moment. So I took a text adventure that we had made earlier in the semester, and I took that and made it into something that was not just typing into the console. So you start the game, and it'll give you kind of a prompt for the level that you're in, like the description of your current room,
Nice.
the name of the room, and then a list of options or places that you can travel to from there.
Mhm.
Um, so in this case, it's just really basic, bare bones. You start off in one location, which is the
Mhm.
starting room, and then there's a list of places that that room connects to. Um, so in this case, a peaceful green meadow would be the correct choice. So I go there, and then I'm now in the meadow.
Mhm.
Um, the hardest part about trying to get this thing to work was actually this list of blue options here,
Mhm.
um, because it's a dynamic list that I can make selections from,
Nice.
which I didn't expect to be as hard as it was. But what I had initially tried doing was I created a for loop that created a list of um, widgets,
Mhm.
and I would make it where when you go back on tap, it would base its location or the destination off of the index of that loop.
Mhm.
Um, and the problem with that was that when it would go back to the loop, the index would always be whatever the fullest size of the loop was, or the
Right.
maximum number of iterations. So I had to use the where is it? It's the list builder
Mhm.
in order to create a scrollable list here. I mean, there's nothing really to scroll through because
Mhm.
it's pretty basically set up. And then I have a lot of functions in here that
Mhm.
were never actually implemented. Um, the main one is just those few pages you saw, and then also this huge kind of storyline that I've set up.
Nice.
It could go longer, but um, you essentially just kind of go down this whole route of um, paths until you finally
Nice.
reach the end and
Right.
defeat the wizard or whatever.
Cool.
And that's my game.
Very cool. Yeah, just one quick note, and I wouldn't expect you have done this in this app. I think that's fun, and using the list builder is really cool. The picture is, of course, just amazing. It's the best picture there. No, uh, just kidding. Oh, nobody's gonna want to buy that app now. No. Uh,
I'd
in
buy it.
in your story.dart, you have so where you have that the screen we're looking at right now, where you have all the rooms with all the text and everything. This is the
Yeah.
perfect. This is the perfect place where I would wrap all that stuff into like into a JSON file, and then have a JSON
Oh,
formatter that would read that file and then build your rooms from the text file. So it would be so then you could easily add more, make it generic. So in the future you could add more rooms or whatever by just adding stuff to that JSON file.
yeah.
Of
I
course,
figured that in terms of memory
yes,
allocation, this would be really inefficient if the game was any bigger, but since it's only like a list of
it's not so bad
what,
for
17
memory.
objects.
The problem comes. It's not that it's a problem with memory allocation for your game. The problem comes where um, you want to change the game, right? Or you want to add another level or something like that. You want to make it cooler. So then having some sort of JSON, what they would do probably in a real game is they would have this in some sort of a database or in a JSON format or some encrypted file that would have all the information that it would load when the game starts up, and then they can optimize. You could download another package or whatever, so you can get new levels and pay for them additionally. Anyway, cool, nice job, um, and um, fun little adventure game. Uh, okay, let's move on to Griffin.
Okay, I'm getting the screen sharing pulled up.
Okay, no worries.
First, I'll just share the application.
Sure.
Can you guys see the application right now?
Yep, got it. Oh, it's
Okay.
pretty.
So I
Cool.
made like a simple like weather application that
Mhm.
will take the current location of the and get current weather data as well as I have like a 5-day forecast section. And
Mhm.
so what
Nice.
we'll do, like the forecast section will allow you to scroll through I use a list view
Mhm.
builder to create this. You can see
Mhm.
forecast information all the way for 5 days, and it does it by like every 3 hours, I think. And
Wow.
so on the screen, I just decided to pull the weather icon and give the temperature, and then go back to the current location screen. I use some icons, like this note icon will
Right.
describe the weather, minimum, maximum temperature, cloudiness, wind rate, and then like humidity
Mhm.
percentage. And then also I'll demonstrate that my emulator has a feature where I can change the location. If I can, here we go. So I'll just change it to like 300 West Hawthorne,
Cool.
Spokane. If I move here, okay, it should be set now. Give it a little refresh. As you can see, the city name changed to country
Mhm.
homes, and
Nice.
the weather attributes changed. So it's constantly listening, which I thought was pretty cool.
Where are you
And
getting your weather
I don't
data
know how
from?
like weather apps for Android work, um,
Mhm.
but at least on my iPhone, the default one didn't really go to my current location. So I thought this could be
Sure.
useful just to be able to pull it up wherever I'm at and see the current weather.
Very cool.
Uh,
Griffin.
Ken, are you able to hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. What I wanted to
Hello?
ask.
Oh, I think you cut out. I'm
Oh.
not able to hear anyone right now.
Oh. Hi, Griffin. Can you hear me?
Griffin tapped out.
Okay.
Hello?
Oh, there he is. Hey, can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yeah, I wasn't able to hear anyone the whole time. I was
Oh,
listening.
okay. No, it looks really good.
Okay. Do you want me to go back into the code?
Oh, I just, yeah, sure. Go back into the
Okay.
code. I was just
Okay.
curious where you're pulling your weather data from.
Oh, it was let's see, what's Open Weather API. How to get an API key.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And so I used a plugin I found on pub.dev. It's just like called Weather,
Uh-huh.
and so it kind of provided all the functionality for me to be able to get the information. And it just gave me instructions for getting the API key, and then it comes back like a JSON format, so it's easy to parse
Mhm.
out.
Cool. I like your weather app almost more than any other weather app I've had because all the other weather apps I've had um, tend to collect my information about
Oh
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
we're not doing that. We're not there yet with that one, but getting
yeah. So
so.
that your app looks really cool. I bet if you put it up on Play Store as a weather app, that completely free, does not collect information. Do you have to pay for the weather data though? How does that
I
work?
guess I get a certain amount of free calls on my API key.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, so I probably
So
have
you're
to end
not
up
gonna,
paying.
yeah, you'd have to pay for everybody else in the world to get free weather from you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Cool.
Are you able to see my Visual Studio Code now?
Yeah, we're looking at it right now.
Okay. So I'll just start with my main. So I used a tab controller to control the navigation between the two screens. Initially, I was going to use a bottom nav bar, but an article I found said that I'm not sure why, but it's not good practice to use a bottom nav bar if you're only using and like a bottom nav bar widget if you're using less than three things to navigate with.
Mhm.
And so I found a video online that kind of helped me understand how to use this tab bar view, but it's pretty simple and pretty similar to the like bottom nav bar
Nice.
objects. And so I just created two different tabs to navigate back and forth between two. And then I have this today page and forecast page.
Mhm.
So I'll go into my today file first. Let's see. There's my API key. Hopefully, no screenshot that and use it.
Well, we didn't see it, so I think
Okay.
the screen didn't update when you move.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right now it's not updating.
Okay. Oh, it's off right now.
Yeah, right now it's not changing. At least for
Okay.
me.
Because
Is
I'm
it
on.
changing for anybody else? Oh, there it changed. Okay.
Okay. So you see the today.dart page.
Yep. Mhm.
Okay. So like when I first, you see this init platform state I just highlighted.
Yep.
Okay. So when I first like create my page, I run this init platform state and it queries the weather. So it returns me back this object with the current weather in it, and then down here I just access the information. First, I access the information. Let's see, like by just using this W, which is the weather object, and
I
I
think
pull out
it's
of it.
it's not capturing your movement again for some reason.
Oh, okay,
Um, I'm not sure why. Oh, there we go.
okay,
Whatever you did right there, we're good now. It's updating.
okay. Because I went full screen and I minimized it, so it must be
Okay,
playing right
yeah.
now.
So if you go, yeah, it's working now. So
Okay,
stay in this mode.
okay, yeah. So I was just able to access all the information using that the weather station I created up here.
Mhm.
And so then I just like use some center widgets and padding to make it look all nice. And I thought a cool thing that I did was take like the network image from the website,
Mhm.
open weather offers an image, and then I just you like pull whatever weather icon is returned, and then it gets it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, one thing,
And
the question I would have there, what you want to be careful with, especially if you go to a public app, is whether that icon is copyrighted or not. So,
yeah, yeah, I'd have to be careful and give the right credit so nothing happens.
well, yeah, either that or you have to buy. It depends on if it's an open icon package or one that you have to own the license to. So there are icon packages out there that are free, but then there's other ones that you have to pay for, and you don't really know unless you inspect that PNG file.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty. So I'll move on to the forecast um, file. I thought this was really cool the way I was able to do this. Oh, also before I go into that, one more thing I wanted to mention is while the forecast is loading, I was getting an issue where like my screen would turn red and it say there's like a dart error. I had
Hmm.
to wait like while the weather was no weather or forecast was null.
Mm.
I just returned this container to load a forecast, so the so there's some good error handling.
Oh, nice.
And then this list view.builder is really cool because you're just able to pass in the length, which will create a certain amount of cards down here. And
Hmm.
I was able to do this all in like I don't know 114 lines of code, and as you guys saw, it
Hmm.
output all the different tiles for the 5 day forecast. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. That's really cool.
But yeah, but that's about it. Is there any questions?
Really nice job. It really looks good too. So you put some real effort into making it look good. I see you used the gradient. When did you implement the gradient background?
Oh, did you ask why?
No, when? Yeah, how?
Oh, when I did that at the start,
Okay.
and I just thought I would kind of like make it look good because initially, as when I was just trying to design like the container and just think about the layout, I was like, oh, a gradient might be cool to play around with, and I think it would just increase the user experience. So that's why I decided to
Hmm.
add it.
Yeah, it looks really good. So,
And then, like, hopefully in a version 2 of the application, I would allow the user to customize it.
hmm well, one cool thing about this application, you now have your own weather app that you can use yourself, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it definitely
So,
could be useful. And like you said, they won't get my information.
yeah, exactly. Well, except for Ex- except for the API that you're pulling from knows that you're pulling from them. But other than that, yeah,
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 yeah.
cool. All right, nice job, Griffin. All right,
Thanks.
any other questions for Griffin? Okay, let's move on to Sean.
Cool. Awesome. Can you see my screen?
Let's see. We will find out. Right now, I have the two dancing squares.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's the bandwidth maybe on your end. Do you have a slower internet connection or?
No, I'm using my data from my phone.
Okay. Yeah,
Is it not working?
yeah, it's not working right now.
Okay. Let's
Let's see. Oh,
Can
hey,
you
just
see?
then I saw it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we've got it. You're on.
Okay, so I did tic-tac-toe, obviously, as you can see, and what I did, since tic-tac-toe isn't that fun of a game, what I thought I would do is just try and make it look as pretty as it can be. So this is
Nice.
the home screen, tic-tac-toe, and then you just press on this
Mhm.
and just typical tic-tac-toe.
Cool.
The cool thing about the app is this pop-up that I was just looking through all the Flutter stuff and I found this and I thought it'd be pretty cool to implement this. So uh, both the Google fonts and then this cool
Mhm.
pop-up thing was something I actually had a lot of fun doing. So
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, I like the background colors. I think it's fun. It kind of pulls together
yeah,
nicely, and I think it's a nice little tic-tac-toe game. Um,
yeah.
so the only question I have for you is, how do you pick? I'm just curious, and this isn't a criticism.
Yeah.
It's just how'd you pick your font for like get three in a row, or what did you like about that
Oh,
font?
yeah. So I have a little sister who's like 6 years
Uh-huh.
old, and I thought, what appeals to like younger kids? So
Okay, cool.
I was just looking, and then I showed my little sister, and she's like, "Yeah, that looks pretty nice." And I was like, "Cool, I'll use
There you
this
go.
font."
Okay, cool. But you did some user surveying. That's good.
Yeah,
Has she played it?
yeah, yeah. We've played it a couple of times together, and she definitely enjoys it a lot.
Very good. Fun. Well,
Yep.
that's cool. I'm glad that she's getting some fun out of that as well.
Yeah,
Cool.
me too. I'll stop there.
Let's see. Are you going to bring up your code?
Oh yeah, I can bring up my code. Sorry about that. Um, Can you see the code?
Yep, we got it.
Cool. So, doing the mechanics of the actual game wasn't too bad. It was just building a matrix and uh, with each square that I build, just set um, essentially the coordinates to it.
Mhm.
And then to figure out who, or just to find the winner, it was just a bunch of if
Mhm.
statements and checking the diagonals, the up, down, and like just all of
Sure.
that. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. And then just check the draw.
Mhm.
The one thing that I wish I wanted to implement was for each of the X's and the O's, actually have the font show up.
Mhm.
I was having a little bit trouble trying to figure that out, but I was still pretty happy with the way it all came out.
Mhm. Yeah, when you
Um,
go to, oh, you mean have the X's and O's be in your font.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so I think that has to do with where you are setting those X's and O's in the
yeah.
context at that point.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you go to your build? I think it's called build. Is it build box or there's a function where you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Right over build square right here.
Okay, yeah. So so you, oh yeah, there it is, build square. So that build
Mm,
square
yeah.
basically is making a, oh, it's just returning a gesture
Mm,
detector with a child container in it. Oh, cool.
yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was really simple.
And
The only
then,
help that I really needed was just how I would register like
right.
the on taps and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you scroll down a little bit, where do you pass in your, oh, go up to your gesture detector a little bit where, yeah, right there.
Hmm.
Okay, there, yeah.
Yeah.
So on tap, you call change board, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
change board, if we can go look at that, that calls set state. Yep, nice.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
so you just basically had a little function there to take care of that. Okay,
Yep.
nice work, Sean. Looks
Thank you.
good. Yep.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, let's see. We'll turn the time over to Zachary. Are you ready?
Yeah, let me get my screen sharing set up.
No worries.
Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yep, we've got it. Thanks.
Okay, so this is our key, and it's just a simple Twitter bot that gets, or Twitter app that just gets a user's favorites.
Oh,
So you
cool.
just type in a Twitter user,
Mhm.
and it pops up with their favorites.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so it has several limitations right now, as you can probably see.
Mhm.
Um, Twitter's JSON file returns a user object, and so
Mhm.
I haven't implemented that, so I don't have the images yet. And I also don't have it loading extra tweets after you reach the bottom.
Mhm.
Um, but I wanted to play around with JSON
Mhm.
and RESTful APIs and
Nice.
learn more about that because I hadn't done that before.
Yes.
And so I was able to achieve that. So I'm so there's more to do with the project, but I was
Mhm.
happy that I um, achieved those things.
Oh, that's really
Um,
good. Yeah, no, that's great.
yeah, and then let's look. So before we look at the code, some things to kind of pointers. First, I didn't realize that when you're working with Flutter, file IO is different than when you're working with Dart, and that's because of the permissions for Android and iOS.
Right.
So
Right.
sometimes when I attempted to use file IO for basic debugging, that was not a good idea because you have to set
Mm.
up permissions.
Yeah,
So it's better to use the debugger.
or you have to write to an area that that is free. That you have to have an
That
area that allows you to write to it. Yeah.
right. And then I struggled a little bit with this project with futures, and I ended up finding an example that used like a future builder,
Mhm.
which worked fine. Um, so a little bit different than um, Griffin's, I think,
Mhm.
weather app. Yeah, and then I learned the basics of REST and API. And then I also don't think I'd come across the factory keyword
Mhm.
before, which the example I found used. So that was something else I kind of got the basics of too.
Yeah.
So if we look at the code.
Yeah,
Did you have something to say, Ken?
I just want to say something about a factory because if some of you have not had data structures yet, you haven't talked about what a factory is. But if you've had 172 and you've done dynamic memory, you kind of have the idea of what a factory is. Basically, what a factory is either a class or a function that can create objects for you of different types. So like in my asteroids game, I had a I'm trying to remember if I put a factory in there, but in my asteroids game for 172, I have a factory that can make bullets, or it can make spaceships, or it can make whatever asteroids, stuff like that. Anyway, continue on.
Yeah. So in my research, I found that it's like useful if you're doing different alert dialog
Mhm.
boxes for iOS and Android, because then you can have material or a Cupertino style alert
Mhm.
dialog. But I wasn't quite sure how the example used it, which is a little
Okay.
embarrassing. Um, so we'll look at that. But so I have just a simple hub that takes in the username and um, passes it to the next page, the tweet view.
Mhm.
Um, and the tweet view calls tweet list view, um, which has a class called tweetJSON, which
Mhm.
has specific um, strings that I want to get out of the JSON file, and eventually it'll also get the user object out of the JSON file too. But I didn't develop that. And then this is where we use the feature builder
Mhm.
to create the list, and that allows you. And I found this a pretty snappy and nice way to work with future objects. Oh, and also here's the factory
Mhm.
uh, as well.
Yeah. So if you look,
So
if you just go back up to that factory for a minute, what's cool here is he just has um, he basically just has a string that will look up within your JSON object the object that you want. So like the ID stir or the full text or the source. So his JSON that reads the project and will return the appropriate object based off of that lookup.
okay, right, yeah. So uh, and then I'm also using. Oh, those are my. Um, I'm also using this get Twitter request um, package that helps me get the code, and it just responds. I just have this response, and I make sure I
Mhm.
double check it and then decode it into a JSON
There you go.
dot body and add it to the list.
Nice.
So yeah, that's the basics of my app.
Very cool. Um, oh, can you go look at the API REST API part of this?
Yeah. Let me scroll down. Oh, I think I have it minimized. No, I don't. Yeah. So um, this is so I'm specifying that I want favorites as a list, and then I'm also asking for the username,
Mhm.
the the number of tweets,
Nice.
and I'm asking for extended. And right now I don't support quote tweets or media
Mhm.
in my example because I decided to kind of just um, take specifics out of the JSON file and display them
Mhm.
instead of using another package
Mhm. Nice.
to display the tweet.
Cool. So yeah, line 63 to 72 is you're basically calling your get Twitter request function, which sends a get package, HTTP package, and then on their end, their database, then they decode this stuff that you send to them in order to return what you've asked for. So you want a list, and then you just give it the options for that list. That's cool. Nice. And
Yeah.
then down line 74 is where you wait for that request to show up. And after it shows up, then line 76 is where you decode it. I notice you have a breakpoint there. Were you having some issues with it not debugging, not returning what you were looking for?
Yeah. So with futures, I found that debugging was a little difficult because if something goes wrong, you won't necessarily get the wrong. It won't be with the request itself. So your
Mhm.
status code will still be right,
Mhm.
but your app isn't functioning correctly.
Mhm.
And oftentimes it was with an invalid string.
Mhm.
Um, so I was getting null strings, and what was happening was usually it was well, the first time that happened is because I was mishandling a future,
Mhm.
and I basically was expecting the future to resolve before the future was resolving rather after I was assigning the variable that
Okay.
contained the future because I
Yeah.
wasn't using a wait properly.
Mhm.
And then the second time, I had the wrong identifier. I just had text here instead of full text.
Okay.
So I had to look at the way I resolved that is by looking at the JSON that
Mhm.
I was
That you were
getting and
sending.
finding,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was receiving and finding the full text
Yeah.
as the keyword, not text.
Cool. Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Very nice job, Zachary. Um, good work on that. Okay, so
Thanks, Kent.
yep, Sparsh, are you ready to go?
Yep.
All right.
Cool. Let me just share my screen.
The one thing I like about this better than the one thing I like about how we can do group projects here is it's so much faster for people to actually get their screens up and demo them because we don't have to. Um, you know what? I think I'd use Discord in the classroom when we get back to Whitworth, and then people can just share their screen.
Can you see my screen?
Yep, it's looking good.
Cool. So I made a 204 game, like not anything super unique, but
Oh yeah,
definitely something good to implement. Kind of like a lot of challenges that I went through, but
cool.
yeah, I think it looks pretty good for now. For the packages, I just use the animated packages for the font. Like you can see
Mhm.
the animation on the fonts up here. I use
Okay.
packages for that. For the
Fun.
logic of the game, I made the class for the board cell, like the squares in the board.
Mhm.
So this is a list that contains the board cell, and then another list that contains all the board cell. The
Mhm.
inner list deals with a single squares, and the outer list deals with rows and columns.
Right. Now I have
For the
I have a
logic of the
question
game,
for you. Sorry.
sure, sure.
Have you made a 2048 game before?
Well,
For
I was close to it for like I was trying in a different and like data structures. I think for a final
okay.
project we were trying that, but no, not really.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know whether you had made one before and then adapted it or if
No.
you yeah.
Mhm. Okay, cool. And then for the logic of the game, I just made separate methods to like move left and move right. For the
Just a
movement,
second. Just a second,
hmm
Sparsh. Sorry to keep interrupting you. Can you just
sure.
do a Control Shift plus? Control Shift plus,
Yeah. Is it
and
visible now?
one more time. Control Shift plus.
Okay.
There, that's better. I can read it now. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it's just a method. So I have other methods like merge left. Like it's basically you checking the merge left method checks that you first of all making sure that you are not in the leftmost row, and if not, you can merge to the left row. And then based on this method, there are two loops that deals with the rows and columns, and then you can basically merge. Same logic applies to the movements of moving right and move up and down.
Mhm.
And then these are Boolean methods. They return true and false, like if it's possible to merge into the left of the row and column and then right of the row and column based on your existing position.
Mhm.
And I think, yeah, the simple methods that contain loop, nothing super hard. And then for the main logic of the game, I just call all the methods here, and I redefine the list, and um, yeah.
Cool.
I guess the hardest part was to like add the existing numbers, because I ran into a problem and I was adding 2 and 4 instead of adding just 4s and 2s together. And then another problem that I was dealing with was switching colors based on the numbers. And the way I fixed it was to have a map.
Mhm.
And then map was like, and then I had to assign colors to those specific numbers in the 204 game. And that worked out pretty fine.
Have you beat your game yet?
Well, not really. I did play it for like 15 to 20 minutes yesterday. I was
Okay.
close to like the score of 1,000 something, but
Okay.
then this is just the reset button that resets the whole game.
Any other questions from the class? Okay. Nice, Sparsh. Nice job. That looks like a fun little game.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Travis, are you ready to jump in there?
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna go ahead and start screen sharing and just get all my stuff reorganized. All right. All
Oops.
right, are you guys able to see this?
Uh-oh, just a second. Not quite.
Not
Think
quite. What happened?
I just clicked on the wrong screen.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
just a second. There we go.
Are you guys seeing VS Code?
Not yet. Let me go
Okay.
back. I ended up picking my own screen is what I ended up doing. Okay, so let's see. I see one person live. I don't see you as having a live window yet.
For me, just fine.
Oh, it's come up for you? Okay. Which one? Just a second. Is it the gray one? Oh, I see it now. Okay. I got it.
All right, are you here?
Almost. All right.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so I decided to just make a really simple app of this game that the middle schoolers that I help out with at Whitworth Press Youth Group, they love to play, and the kids that I've counseled at summer camps over the past couple years really enjoy this game. It's just kind of like a game you just play to kill time. It's called Perfect in Every Way, and basically what it is you you say like, oh, somebody's perfect in every way, but and then blah 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 blah, and you have to choose whether or not you would still go out with this person or marry him or something like that. And it's really
Mhm.
fun. These kids really like it. So I decided just to turn that into a game. It's pretty simple. There's just an instruction screen right here. Kind of explains the rules of the
Mhm.
game. If you click next, you're just met with this page. Perfect in every way, but has mustard bottles for hands. These responses that I have in here are some of the favorites that I've gotten from these kids. I reached out to them and had them just
Uh-huh.
text me a couple of their favorites. So you can choose yes or no. Personally, for me, I'm not a fan of mustard, so that would be a no. And then all it does is it just switches to the next one. And then yeah, so pretty much on either click you make, it goes to the next flaw is what I called it, but it's really just like a condition.
Uh-huh.
And then you can choose whether or not that would be a deal breaker for you. Um, and yeah, and so the package I use for this, since with it just being a pretty simple um, just structure of an app, I just used Google Fonts and just picked a font that I thought was pretty simple and looked nice, wasn't super boxy. It was kind of circular in a way, and it just kind of looks nice
Mhm.
as you click through the game. And then yeah, pretty much the biggest feature is just this text box here
Mhm.
is a variable size, and it changes size with the list that I have over here of all these conditions or flaws. And
Mhm.
then in the future with quarantine and stuff, maybe this summer I'll flush it out and make it an actual app for these kids and maybe hook it up to a Firebase
Oh, fun.
database where they can add their own flaws, and then those would have to be reviewed by me to make sure, like,
Cool.
for
Mhm.
like censorship and stuff, to make sure they're all appropriate. And
Right,
then I could
right.
add those to the game and just have it be something that they could add on to and then play. And then these counts down here that keep track of your responses. Hopefully, I was planning on having it be a percentage of how many people agreed with you. So like if you
Mhm.
clicked yes, it would show like, oh, like 50% of the people that
Right.
have gone to this section also clicked yes. But
Right.
that would also need to be hooked up to a database and then pull data from
Sure.
other users and stuff. So yeah, you
Yeah.
pretty much just click through the game, and then at the very end, um, we're getting close. At the very end, it just, that's all. You can go
Mhm.
back, do it again. You can return to the instruction screen. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as the code goes, it was pretty simple. I just had three, or I guess four files. We had just the main file here that just builds the app itself. We got all the initial routes. This was pretty straightforward. The start screen is just that first instruction screen.
Mhm.
And as you can see here, just adding these fonts is really easy. Um, easier than, I guess, yeah, it was easier than I expected, but also it's only fonts, so it's not too bad. But yeah, you just kind of add in these Google fonts wherever you want it, and they have a lot of other things you can change about it. And yeah, and then the home screen was just that main screen that has the list. And then down here, I've got like a yes and a no counter that
Mhm.
keeps track of your answers, and then it calls. In this else section, it just kind of sets to see if the game is still being played, if you're at the last question or not. And then if you are, it goes to the game over page, which is just a one-page screen that
Mhm.
says that's all.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's fun. I think probably what you'd want to do is not show them the percentage until, of what people have picked until after they choose.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, that was the goal. Because like right now you
yeah.
don't see the count number, and then once you click it, it's like, oh, I've answered one of them yes. So showing
Yeah.
like after they click, it would have like oh, this many people said this, and there might be like a next button down here that they could click to
Right.
then continue.
Cool.
But yeah, it was just a very good starting space, and it was a lot of fun. Went pretty quick.
Yeah, very very fun. All right. That looks like a great job. So now I don't know if there's anybody else that has joined us that hasn't presented yet that has decided they want to present today. Um, we're getting close to the end of class anyway, but so next time we'll have hopefully almost all the rest of you present, and for the rest of class today, then I'm going to hang out here and help anybody who has questions as I've done in the past. Um, but I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing. So great job, everybody. This is um, turning out. There's some things I really like about this method of presentation. Of course, I miss seeing all of your faces and being in class with you. But other than that, I do enjoy being able to switch and see each of your presentations individually. I think that part works really well on Discord here. In fact, better than what we were able to do in the classroom. So let's see here. I'm trying to see if I have any. Okay, my phone buzzed and I thought I might have a question from somebody on Discord. But other than that, uh, hearing no any questions, let me just pause and be quiet for a few seconds here. Any questions? All right, hearing no questions, I'm going to hang out here and answer questions for people individually as needed. So have a great day, and we'll see you on Wednesday. My goal on Wednesday is to have people finish up exam two presentations, and then again starting maybe Friday or even Monday, if anybody's ready with their final presentations to go early, that would be great because the more time we have for everybody to present their stuff, the better off. I just really am enjoying sitting and walking through each of your code um, like this. I think it's a lot more personal, and I really I really like it. I like that aspect of it, and you've all been doing a good job, so I like that too. All right, so have a great day, and we'll see you Wednesday, or I'll talk to you in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Kent.
Thanks. We'll see ya.
Thanks, Kent.
Thank you.
Hey Kent, I have a question.
Okay, I'm going to pause the recording here.